Hello everyone. Today we are getting back into the groove of things with perfumes, and I decided to do a little bit of a throwback video where I am going to be discussing perfumes that are not at all new to the market, but that are classic and have been around for a while. Moreover, at least one of them I have filmed a video about 2 years ago. And now I'm about to run out of it fairly soon, so I just wanted to update you on how I feel about it. And the fragrances we'll be discussing today is Tom Ford Neroli Portofino Aqua, which, as you can probably see, I really don't have a lot left of. And the same can be said about the Shalimar Eau de Cologne from Guerlain. And specifically, I've been promising forever, and I remember that I have to do it. I will do sort of a video comparison of all of the Shalimars that I own. I think I've compared some of them before, but I will do a proper lineup of all Shalimars that I've tried and owned and own, and talk about those. But today, these two guys are going to be the stars of the show. And throwback, meaning that I've owned these guys for a while. I've used them for a really long time, and now I'm ready to sort of share my final thoughts about them before I use them up. Let's start with the Tom Ford bottle right now. Of course, it's beautiful. There is no hiding the fact that the packaging of Tom Ford is really up my alley. I really enjoy the sort of architectural, clean, well executed, simple packaging. That is my preference when it comes to pretty much anything. But the packaging obviously was what really got me. I think about 3 years ago I bought this particular bottle, and I'm finally nearing the end of it. It is a 100 milliliter bottle of the Eau de Toilette. So this is not the Eau de Parfum. There is a different fragrance in that lineup called Neroli Portofino. This is Neroli Portofino Aqua, meaning that they're promising us for it to be a lot more lightweight, breezier, and also this is definitely an Eau de Toilette bordering on the cologne concentration. This is not a beast. This is not something that is going to stick to you forever. It is not something that has a major sillage, not something that has a major longevity, which is fine. Especially, I think this is appropriate for summer months, and it was intended to be used in the summer months. Hence the marketing: Sicily, Italy, summer, terracotta, and blue ocean. So clearly that's the intended season for wear, and that is generally when I would choose to wear it as well. It is a very unisex fragrance. I already talked about it when I initially reviewed it. It is something that you absolutely can share with your loved one, partner, whichever gender they are. It's easy, generally pleasant, and because of its lightness, difficult to criticize. The main note is Neroli, of course. It's uplifting, it's slightly bitter, has a very gentle bitterness to it, which really cuts through the heat and creates this sensation of being uplifted, of something just cutting through the mugginess and delivering this slightly tart, slightly bitter freshness, which is the part of this fragrance that I really enjoy. There's some supporting orange flower and lemon lime sort of citrus idea. The base of it is a very light, clean musk with a little bit maybe a small amount of general white wood, not prominent whatsoever. The musk is what kind of holds the fragrance together, and it's very thin, transparent, lightweight musk, not the sensual, come hither, I want to get closer to you musk. It's a very lightweight musk that is generally used in body products to create that sensation of freshness. If you know what I'm talking about, that is the musk I'm talking about. Think about cleaning products. That's the same musk I'm talking about. Not to say this smells like a cleaner, not at all. It is Tom Ford, so they did do it in a tasteful way, but it is not something that I am willing to repurchase. I will finish it off and I will not come back to it because I think I can probably find more interesting pieces of perfumery of this kind of spirit in more niche brands, meaning that I probably want something similar to fill the hole this will leave after it's used up, but something slightly bitter, slightly citrusy, and very uplifting cutting, very uplifting, sharply cutting through summer heat. That's what I'm looking for. But I think this is mostly very watery. That's my problem with it. It does not actually wear anywhere close to a work day. It's like a 3-hour hold, and generally for me that's annoying, and I would probably not repurchase fragrances that have such poor longevity. I don't need them to be sillage monsters, but I do want them to, you know, stick around for more than 30 minutes. I don't need everybody to smell them, but I want to feel the presence of this fragrance, and I do. Unfortunately, not long enough, and I think for the amount of money that Tom Ford charges for this particular fragrance, although it's very much on the cheaper side of things, if you can say cheaper about Tom Ford, less pricey side of things for their perfume line, I still just feel like I can probably do better. I can probably do better, and I can probably find something a bit more interesting in the bitter, fresh zone of things. And I did try to look at the clean range. There are a few of those slightly bitter, fresh fragrances there. So far I have not found something I would enjoy more than this one, but I really haven't been looking very hard, and it's not generally a type of fragrance that I go for very often. So I wasn't really expecting to easily find a replacement until I try out more of this genre. So Neroli Portofino will not be repurchased. I think it is a very generic, very easy to like because it's quite faceless kind of fragrance, and I don't think that it's particularly interesting or carries much personality with it. It doesn't really speak to me in that way, mostly because the composition is quite simple, but not in an elegant, great way. More like I would expect this kind of a fragrance to come out. I would expect this kind of fragrance to come out in maybe like Joven line almost. So it's not that it smells cheap. That's not what I'm trying to tell you here. It's more that there is no je ne sais quoi here. There's no there's something special, something interesting, and the quality is also kind of not there. Even for Eau de Toilette, this is too watery. I don't know. Think of what you want about it. I think this is easy to like, and I think if you buy it for someone in terms of fresh, slightly bitter citrus, they will probably enjoy it if they like that sort of perfumes, because it's generally not disagreeable, but that also means that it's not special. Fine, it's okay. It's fine. I'm not angry about it. I'm glad I had it. I won't be sad to see it go. Now, let's move forward with this little guy, Shalimar Eau de Cologne from Guerlain. Absolutely fascinating little gem, and it's really wagering a war in my mind for the top spot regarding my favorite Shalimar. There's a big line of Shalimar fragrances available from Guerlain. They consistently used to come out with more flankers, not for a while. They haven't come out with too many flankers for a while. There is Shalimar Souffle line, which is kind of a branch of the Shalimar, but that's totally different, and I don't actually like that particular line at all, and I haven't liked anything released in it. Let's just stick to this straight up original Shalimar. Funny enough, the fragrance first, this combo, this spirit of a fragrance was first released in the Eau de Cologne concentration, so it was never released in Eau de Parfum at first. Eau de Parfum came a little bit later, and Eau de Cologne was the original release. The original release was in 1925. I have no idea whether it changed a lot or not. I only can speak for the last 20 years probably, maybe less 15 years of their releases. Not my first bottle of the Eau de Cologne. Really, really respectable little gem. If you are a fan of Shalimar but you haven't ever really tested the Eau de Cologne, because it's usually not really easily available in boutiques. It's not the biggest seller from the Shalimar line. It's really definitely the Eau de Parfum, which is a little bit more sultry, a little bit more intentional, a little bit more made up with vintage lipstick, and a little bit less easygoing. This is a much more easygoing Shalimar. If you want to wear a Shalimar, if it's something that you're interested in, you definitely can get away with this one. Funny enough, because this is a lighter, breezier, easygoing, more wispy composition of the Shalimar personality, it's the easygoing, slightly hippie cousin of the dressed up red lipstick flapper girl Eau de Parfum. It's much easier to pull off, actually. So if you're a noob to the world of vintage fragrances and you are interested in doing yourself a Shalimar grand entrance, but you're a little bit intimidated by the vintage flair of the Eau de Parfum, I think an Eau de Cologne, although not newer than the Eau de Parfum, is an excellent place to start. I would say it's even more unisex than is the Eau de Parfum. I think Eau de Parfum is definitely a slightly sultry, pretty unisex scent if you do dissect it via notes. We are accustomed to thinking about it as a strictly female scent, but it isn't. And I know men who wear it with great success, and everybody's like, oh, what is this scent? I've never smelled this before, but they've smelled it, just didn't smell it on a guy before. And quite rightfully so. I think men figured out that, gosh, we can definitely pull this off as well, and that you can, guys. Do try the original Shalimar, but if you are a little bit intimidated by the slightly feminine lean, perhaps, and the vanilla quality of it, Eau de Cologne is probably going to be a better choice for you, because it's rather straight in the middle. Unisex and very, very wearable. Again, unisex wearable. So the main piece here that is differing from the original combination, it's like a deck of cards that was in a particular arrangement with the Eau de Parfum. Here, it's been reshuffled. Leather is really what comes to the forefront in this fragrance, and hear me out. Leather really usually makes you think about chaps and whips and sexiness and just, you know, that side of things. Not really what's going on here with the leather. This is more tame, calm, expensive handbag kind of leather. And this leather is backed up by vanilla. Vanilla in the Eau de Parfum, if you haven't smelled this, but you've smelled the Eau de Parfum, I'm gonna give you a few parallels and a few differences there. Vanilla in the Eau de Parfum version is stronger, more burnt, slightly leaning gourmand. It's not a gourmand fragrance at all, it's more a balsamic, slightly spicy fragrance. Over there's definitely a chunkier, meatier, more prominent vanilla here. It's much more lightweight. It's breezy. It's like a whiff of vanilla as the wind blows it by you. This is what it is. It's really not heavy. It's really not sweet at all. So this is the vanilla extract without the sweetness. If you bake, if you make cookies and you forget to put the sugar in, but you put the vanilla in, it's this nice slightly creamy, pleasant taste, but it's not sweet. This is what you get here. I've been baking recently. I have not forgotten sugars in my recipe quite yet. I will tell you guys, you know what? I've been hardcore into cooking and baking with the lockdown, and I'm kind of loving it. What happened? I've never been into cooking or baking, and I'm just killing it in the kitchen. I'm like perfecting the craft over there. So back to Shalimar, okay. This lightweight, soft leather, supported by a very gentle, friendly type of vanilla, is also spiced up by slight smokiness of incense. Again, it's all very lightweight, it's all very top register, it's not heavy at all, and really lifted by a limey, probably not lemon, but rather lime, a limey freshness that just perks it up and pushes it into the atmosphere more so than grounding. And here again, citrus doesn't really make that sensation of cleanliness at all happen, because usually, classically in perfumery, citrus is really like the beacon for freshness. Citrus equals freshness, and that's what it is. And if you want to create a fresh scent, you put citrus in it. If you want to create a scent that signifies to a person that something is clean, you put citrus in it or mint in it. Those are the two things that you're like really universally across the world pretty much are used to relay freshness. Here, this is not the citrus that we're talking about. Here, the citrus isn't really relaying freshness. It's cutting through some of those notes and lifting them up even further into a more lightweight, breezy, complex composition. So it does serve its uplifting, slightly bitter function, but it doesn't make you smell particularly specifically clean, like you just cleaned yourself or you just took a shower or you just laundered something. That's not what we're talking about. And finally, the other note that I really feel here is a very gentle, again, non-makeup-y, pretty lightweight iris. And iris is something that I really respect in fragrances, and I quite enjoy using on a fairly regular basis. Like I have quite a few purple floral fragrances. A lot of them have iris. I do enjoy iris because it's a very specific, very elegant kind of scent. It always, like a sprinkle of iris in a fragrance usually makes it feel more high-end for some reason. That's just the way iris tends to function if properly integrated. And I like iris to the point where I actually requested iris flowers to be put into our garden by my husband, who loves gardening, and that's a big passion of his, and he takes requests. So I did ask for peonies and irises because those are my two top favorite florals to grow in a garden. There's also violets, but violets I don't think are very much a garden flower. Correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to have some violets. Maybe I should task him with that. I don't know if they just grow in the wilderness or they can be grown easily in a garden in the climate that I'm living in. I'm not sure. Anyway, iris in here really, again, without weighing it down, without making it serious or cerebral in some way, more plays the role of having sort of a dot at the end of the sentence, signifying we're talking about the scent, it's such and such and such, and it's also elegant. And it's also elegant at the end of the sentence. That's the iris in here. There are other notes that the manufacturer lists, including some opopanax, benzo, and sandalwood. There's civet in there that's being promised. No, it doesn't smell civety. I don't find that note actually even shows up in this particular fragrance. There's balsam, musk, woods, you know, that sort of thing. That mess at the end, I don't think really matters all that much. It does play a supportive role, but it's not what's coming through. Here, if you feel like you want to explore leather fragrances in an elegant, easygoing, and easy-wearing way, try this. This, I think, will not disappoint. It's very likable. A lot of unique, interesting scents, especially lightweight, unique, interesting scents, are either fall into one of the two categories. Like a very small amount of people really likes them, or a really large amount of people kind of likes them. I think this is going to be in that latter category. It's likable, it's easy to wear, very unisex, and it's a little bit cheeky because it's an unusual combination for sort of a spring and summer scent. You can pretty much wear this one all through the year. I don't see a seasonality to it. I think it's very multi-seasonal. You can just do whatever you want with this one. It doesn't have a specific tie to a time of the year. If you're thinking about a lady who might want to wear this, I see her as very modern, but with vintage flair. She likes finger waves. She likes red lipstick. She accentuates one thing at a time in her look, and she's quite minimal yet unique in the way she dresses. Probably loves to live her life in the nighttime. Probably has a degree in something like French literature, something like that. So quite a unique, free-spirited person who enjoys standing out in the crowd, but not screaming, "Here, look at me, 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 me. I'm here." We don't want that. This is in bad taste most of the time. This is an elegant, easygoing, I didn't try so hard way to relay some uniqueness and vintage vibes. So I think this is great. I think I will probably get it through a few of my Shalimars before I repurchase the Eau de Cologne, but I think this is a good pick out of the lineup and probably the easiest one you can get away with, and the most unisex one as well. So if you want to go for Shalimar, you're not sure that you can do with the other Perfume or any of the other flankers, I think Eau de Cologne might be your pick, because I think this is the easiest, hands down the easiest to wear in the lineup. Longevity for an Eau de Cologne is impressive. It's probably plays in the realm of maybe 5 or 6 hours on the skin, which is a good eau de toilette sort of concentration. So eau de Cologne, don't be scared. It's not a wimp. It's not going to leave your skin right away. It's going to linger a bit, and very lightweight and seasonless. If you want to have sort of a vintage inspired one perfume is all I wear all year long kind of approach, this could be it for you. This is really, really great. So tell me below if you've tried either of these guys and what your feelings are for both of them, if you've tried them, or either of them if you've tried one of them. Again, for me, I am much more impressed with the Shalimar Eau de Cologne. I think this formulation is more interesting, more unique, and for sure I think this is a better quality fragrance that lasts better. Although this is Cologne, this is Eau de Toilette, this guy is definitely more long wearing. When it comes to the Tom Ford Neroli Portofino Aqua, I enjoyed it. I found it pleasant, I wore it, it lasted poorly, and it's almost coming to an end. I won't be repurchasing it. I will be eventually repurchasing the Eau de Cologne. I think I am going to do more of the throwback videos and do a bit of a compare and contrast, maybe some vintages. Maybe we'll talk about vintages separately. Maybe we'll talk about certain brands separately. But in 2020, I really want to do a lot more of the culling of my fragrance wardrobe, and I want to return to some of my previous picks, reevaluate them. I have found that I had a huge revelation about one of the fragrances I've always disliked tremendously and kind of crapped on. And no spoilers, but holy crap, I am obsessed with it now. What happened? I have no idea. So leave me down below any comments you might have about the duo that we're talked about today. And that's it for today. See you guys later. Have a wonderful day and good luck to you. Bye bye.